I have the Q3 on the right and the Q3-43 on the left. Both of them have identical body designs, except for the color of the leatherette wrap. They're both sleek and minimal, but with that comes two downsides. One is that it can be difficult to hold over a long period of time. Because this area on the right is so thin, it gets a little bit difficult to get an adequate grip on this camera. This thumb rest helps somewhat, but you still end up having to pinch the camera if you're holding it for a long period of time, and that can get fatiguing with the hands. And the second issue is because this is so well put together, you may want to have some protection to keep it that way. So your options are to put on a half case or put on a hand grip. And I have two examples of a half case here and two examples of a hand grip. I've purchased too many half cases already, so I'll go over which one I think is the best and which one will stay on my camera, so you don't have to buy every half case out there. But first, I wanted to show some examples of nighttime photography with the Leica Q3-43. I had a chance to take this out at night for the first time. One of the very few benefits of January is that it gets dark early, so it's easier to get out at night. With this 43mm Apo Summicron lens, the maximum aperture is only f2.0. The Q3 is f1.7, but I found that the Q3-43 f2.0 was more than adequate to get enough light at nighttime. The next clip will show off the video capabilities of the Leica Q3-43. I shot this outside towards dusk into night, and I shot it at 8K, and this has very good video capability. The only downside is that it does not have image stabilization, so it's difficult to hold this very steady, or else you'll get shaky results. It's fine to use a tripod, but I did this handheld, and I had to add stabilization in the video editing software to get it a stable shot. All of these shots were unedited, except I tweaked some of the exposure. The exposure on the videos seemed a little bit overexposed, and the exposure on the photos seemed a little bit underexposed, so I just adjusted it very slightly. So except for the video stabilization, I think this does an adequate job with video. And if I can just hold it steadier, I think I'll start using this more for video outside. The audio on the video came directly from the internal microphone of the camera, but they did just update the firmware so you can plug in an external microphone into the USB slot. So I might try that out in the future. The still photos were also unedited, except I bumped up the exposure slightly. So this f2.0 has very adequate low light capability. Here are three of my favorite photos from the night. Getting back to the grip on the camera, again, the right side is fairly thin, so you have to end up resting your thumb on the thumb rest and pinching down with your fingers to get a strong grip. And that can be fatiguing to the hand because it's more difficult to pinch your hand than to actually grasp your hand around the camera. So the first accessory to get, besides the soft shutter release button, is a extra thumb grip. And that slides on directly into the hot shoe, and you have your cutouts for the buttons here. And that makes it much easier to grip on the thumb side because you don't have to press down your thumb so much into the camera. But that still leaves the front of the camera flat. So I have here two half cases that have a built-in hand grip to give extra surface area to grip onto the camera. These two half cases give you extra protection on the camera against scratches and scuffs, but they do add extra bulk to the camera. The one on the left is from Arti Mano, and it has a soft suede-like lining to protect the camera, and it has an open bottom to access the battery and the SD card slot. The one on the right is from Oberwerth, and this has two doors at the bottom for the camera battery and the SD card slot, and also has a soft lining on the inside. The Arti Mano half case is easy to install. You just slide it into the case and fasten it with the snaps on top. The leather is made of a pebbled black leather, and it does add some extra bulk to the camera, but it covers the camera pretty well and protects it against scratches. And the built-in hand grip also makes it thicker and easier to grasp onto. There is a small indentation on the bottom, so you can easily grasp the flip-out screen. And it fits perfectly on the bottom too to have easy access to the camera battery and the SD card slot. This Oberwerth case has a nice smooth black leather, and I like this kind of texture of the leather a little bit better than the other case. This also has a built-in hand grip and two open doors at the bottom, which are secured with magnets. This case is a little bit more difficult to install because you need to have a screwdriver to screw it in on the bottom. And another benefit to this leather case from Oberwerth is that there is a cutout on the side to allow access to the charging port. So none of these half cases or hand grips are perfect. They each have their positives and negatives. One of the negatives of this Oberwerth case is that it will not allow the camera to stand up straight. It still tips over towards the front. But the Arti Mano case does seem to stand upright. So the positives of these two cases is that it provides a good coverage and protection against dirt or damage. It gives you that built-in hand grip to get a better grip on the camera. They both still allow access to the camera battery and SD card. But the negative is that it does add extra bulk to the whole camera. And you may not want to take out leather into the rain and risk water damage to the leather. Another negative for both of these cases is that they both cover up the tripod mount on the bottom. So if you do want to mount your camera on a tripod, you have to remove both of these cases. The one from Arti Mano is pretty easy to take on and off, but the one from Oberwerth is more difficult because you need to get out a screwdriver to install and remove this camera case. There are plenty of other options to get a good quality leather half case. You can get one directly from Leica or Artist and Artisans or several third-party brands on Amazon, but I think they'll all end up having the same similar kind of positives and negatives. If you don't need that full body camera protection from a leather half case, the other option is a hand grip. just to make it easier to hold on to the camera. And there's also several options for that. Of the two hand grips that I have, the one on the right is the Leica hand grip, directly from Leica. And this was designed for the Leica Q2, but it does fit the Leica Q3. It's very easy to put on and off. There's a turn dial at the bottom that's easy to screw on and screw off. The leatherette covering of the hand grip matches the Q3 exactly, and it is fairly bulky, so it does give you an extra surface area to grasp onto. So this does make it significantly easier to hold on to for a long period of time. And with this hand grip, you can shoot one-handed, whereas with the leather half case, that would be much more difficult. Another added bonus to this Leica hand grip is that you can install the extra Leica finger loop, and this gives you just an extra stability in the hand. Once you slip your fingers through that finger loop, this really locks into your hand, and it's almost impossible for you to drop this camera accidentally. You actually have to make a conscious decision to remove your fingers from the loop to remove this from your hand. So if you're holding the camera all day, this finger loop makes it just easier to just rest your hand a little bit throughout the day. There are a few negatives to this hand grip. Like I said, none of these hand grips are perfect. This hand grip will hide access to the battery and the SD card slot, so you have to remove it each time. But it is fairly easy to remove with this dial at the bottom. It also includes a tripod mount, so you still can mount this on a tripod with the hand grip on. And it leaves the side uncovered, so you have access to the charging port. And I like both of these hand grips because this will keep the camera upright very easily. Another negative is that even though this does fit the Leica Q3, it does not have a perfect fit. I would say it's about 95% there, but there is just a little bit of give and play between the hand grip and the camera. So when you're grasping the camera, sometimes you can feel a little bit of give and sometimes even a little bit of a squeak or a sound as you compress the hand grip. If you can see, there's just a very slight space between the hand grip and the camera. And the last hand grip that I have, and I think my favorite so far, is this hand grip from IDS Works, which I believe is a company from China or Hong Kong. This one does require a screwdriver to install at the bottom, but once it's installed, it feels very firm and very well fitting. I don't feel any looseness or give and play with this hand grip. It's also slightly a lower profile on the hand grip side, so I like that. So it's a little bit less bulky than the Leica hand grip. You have several options of the material for this hand grip on the side. I chose the black carbon fiber, which I think matches the Leica Q343 the best. And it's also lightweight. It does require a little bit of assembly when you get this hand grip. You just have to attach this hand grip part to the base plate with the screwdriver, which is included in the package. The big benefit with this, besides getting a good grip on the camera, both slots at the bottom are open and easily accessible. So you can access the SD card and the camera battery at the bottom without removing the base plate. And again, the side is open so you can access the charging port. The texture of this base plate is kind of a grippy texture. It is black, so it matches the camera body fairly well, but not exactly. So the bottom of this camera grip does give some protection to the bottom of the camera when setting it down against dents or scratches. I would say the only negative is that this also covers up the tripod mount at the bottom because it needs that screw to fasten in the hand grip to the camera body. But this bottom base plate is shaped to be compatible with Arcus, so you could theoretically slide this on directly onto your tripod, but for my tripod, it does not end up working correctly. So with my tripod, I can slide this hand grip directly onto the tripod, but I do not have a ball and socket tripod, so this has a limited mobility. So if I wanted to adjust this up and down, I would not be able to do that. I would only be able to adjust it side to side. But there is a workaround to this. I think you can buy an extra accessory adapter to fit onto the bottom of the base plate. So you can use this with any type of tripod. So that's the only negative for this hand grip from IDS Works. The shipping was fast and the price was expensive, but I think it's worth it. I like having easy access to the bottom of the camera and to the side of the camera without taking off the hand grip. And the hand grip on the side is a nice matching carbon fiber color, and it fits very well. It's low profile, but it gives an adequate surface area to grip onto the camera. And I think if I buy that adapter for the tripod, that will make it just perfect. So there are other options for hand grips for the Leica Q3. You can get the one that's made specifically for the Q3, which matches with the wireless charging plate. But that's very expensive, and I don't think I would end up using the wireless charger. There's a couple more third-party brands you can get, some from Amazon. There's also the small rig hand grip, but that one has a branding right at the bottom at the very front, which I don't think looks very good and ruins the look of the camera. So let me know in the comments which one you think is the best. Do you prefer a half case or a hand grip? And who makes the best hand grip?